marketing session with me, Miles from Miles Marketing. So I was looking at my dates, and it turned out that last July was when I first started doing my weekly sessions. So let it be known to you all out there that not only have you had me in your ear for a whole entire year, but I've managed to create 52 new separate pieces of content that I'm able to repurpose for my website. And if you like to continue to furnish my authority within the marketing space. So I would urge you all, if you are thinking about creating content, then start now, jump on the bandwagon, and before you know it, you're a year down the line and you've created, 50 different bits of content, and it doesn't seem so much like a chore. And it's not a chore, right? I enjoy popping on here and seeing you every single week. So as usual, if you do have any questions, pop them in the chat. I will do my very best to answer them live on air for you. This is a popular subject at the moment. I mean, things are quite tight, and especially for small businesses, they're wondering what marketing can they do for free? The title of today is What Marketing Can I Do That's Free? And so I'm going to take you through a few bits today. They are all free to use. It's not sort of the no cost, low cost. It's that they're free to use. Okay. I'm just going to check that we are indeed. Oh, I can see that we are indeed live on the internet. Just turn that down. Okay. So let's dive straight into this. So I guess, what is the first thing you want to be doing? I'm going to say, right, the first thing you want to be doing is being realistic about your own capabilities. All right. Always use a specialist to do a specialist job. But, if you're not great at writing copy, then, don't persecute yourself by writing copy. If you're not great in front of the camera, don't sort of put yourself in an uncomfortable position by starting to do live webinars. If you're not great at social media, and a lot of people I speak to are like, oh, I can't be bothered with it, I'm not great, I don't interact, then don't do it. Okay, the things that I'm going to explain to you now, I would pick one that you feel comfortable about. You can pick more than one, right? But at least if you want to start somewhere, pick one that you're comfortable with and get on with that. Get some sort of momentum going. Let's look at the best place to start. And I'm going to say to you that the best place to start is making sure that you've identified your target market clearly. So often, either people say my target market is everybody, all right? And if you say that, then you're targeting absolutely nobody. It's true. And a lot of people say, oh, but Miles, everyone can buy my products. And I say, yeah, I know. But you can't appeal and you can't have any push through if you try and target everybody. So take everybody, analyze everybody, and see where there are overlaps. See where there are commonalities and start to sort of chunk it down so you can highlight a section of everybody that you can target. All right, so get your target market sorted, because until then, you're not going to be able to interact with them in the places that they hang out. Okay. Right, so these are in no particular order. The first one is email marketing. All right, we've all got access to email, but there are a couple of pointers that I'm going to just remind you of. So the first thing I would suggest you do is make sure that you use a bona fide database or a CRM system to store your data. If you're not au fait with GDPR, I'm sure you've heard those 4 little letters. Get yourself used to it, okay? Because as a business owner and holding people's data, it's important that you manage it properly, okay? So if you're not GDPR compliant, make sure you are. But by using a CRM system, all right, it'll ensure that all the emails that you send out are already GDPR compliant. The little opt out or unsubscribe buttons appear there automatically. Okay, so use a platform like that. Some platforms you have to pay for. There are some platforms out there where you can use them up to a certain level for free. So hence why I am mentioning it today. There are loads out there. Find one that you feel comfortable with. When it comes to email marketing, though, don't spam people. Don't sort of bombard them, with an email every day. I mean, I've had it where I've had like an email every day, and by day 4, I'm like, what the actual, I don't want this. I unsubscribe. Okay. Even like weekly emails, I'm finding too much, the whole, oh, here's your Monday motivation. Well, I tell you what, you can stick your Monday motivation where the sun don't shine, right? I'm unsubscribing. So think about the regularity in which you email people so that you don't get on their nerves, and make sure you've got something to say, right? Make sure you've got something to say. So what I'm going to say to you here is perhaps build a 6-month calendar in terms of subject matter. If you're going to do one a month, that's only 6 emails. That's only 6 topics that you have to come up with from scratch, right? So everyone can do that. And if you're going to say to me, oh, but Miles, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to write. Well, AI has come on a long way these days. So get involved with a piece of AI software and ask it to write you an email about whatever it may be with the subject matter or whatever. And it's actually very good out there now. You'd only have to do a little bit of editing for it to be really quite good. Think about making sure that your emails aren't too long. If you're using a CRM piece of software, there are templates that you can use to make it nice and easy to design it how you like. But again, think about yourself when you get an email. What are the ones that prick your interest? What are the ones that actually draw you in to have a look at? And I'm going to say it's ones with pretty pictures and not a lot of text. Okay. Now, when you've done an email marketing campaign, make sure that you're analyzing the data. These CRM systems, they'll tell you how many people they were sent to, how many opened them, how many bounce backs, how many unsubscribes, how many clicks, how many. With some of the big sort of systems out there like MailChimp and stuff, you can really take a very deep dive into how people interact with your emails. Be a bit clever with it. Let's say you email 100 people, right? Let's say that 70% open them. Let's say of those 70 people that open them, 10 actually click and interact, and maybe someone opens it a number of times and clicks and interacts on that same thing. Well, there's a little clue that perhaps they're interested in it. So maybe you follow that up to that person with perhaps a more specific email just around that subject matter. Okay. So analyze the data. Right. So that's email marketing. Moving on to the next one, social media. This would be the one I think that's probably at the top of most people's lists. Most social media platforms are free to use. The important thing here is what I said at the beginning, like your target market. Please, 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 if you've not really used social media, don't kick off by saying, I'm going to be on them all, right? I mean, a lot of people, they're like, oh yeah, well, we're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Threads, like the new one. I'm like, oh, okay. And how are you getting on with that? Oh, well, it's impossible to keep up with it all. Yeah, I know. Right. So think about your target market. Think about where they preside the most. Let's say that you have got an image-based business, something that's aesthetic, then maybe Instagram is the place for you. If you've got something which lends itself really well to video, then maybe it's YouTube. If it's a younger audience, maybe it's YouTube. Maybe it's TikTok, right? Maybe it's a professional service. Maybe it's LinkedIn. I'm going to say to you, don't worry about them all. Think about one and do it properly. And let me tell you this, The clue is in the title, social media. You have got to be social on your social media. Don't just push out content, get interactive, build a little community, get some feedback. Yeah. Start looking at other people within your genre, start commenting and interacting with their posts, and you'll be surprised about how many people will then become aware of you and go and find your handle and start following you and interacting with you. Okay. So build it up, be social, focus on one platform. And again, make sure that, if you've never posted on social media, don't start by committing to post every day. All right. Because I'm telling you, after the first week, you will stop, because mainly you would have got sick and tired of it, and B, you'd have run out of ideas. Okay. So if you haven't done it before, start by posting once a week. All right. And then keep an eye on it and add to that. Maybe post twice a week when you start to build a little bit of momentum, but don't post for the sake of it. All right. Make sure that your posts are meaningful. Right. Moving on from social media. I mean, we could talk about that all day, right? But like I say, do it properly. The next one I'm going to talk about is your website, and specifically around SEO. Now, up until recently, SEO has really been all around keywords, creating lots of blogs. But in the advent of changes within search engines and the algorithms, and especially since AI has come along, there's just an enormous glut of blogs specifically on websites now, and they're not really being given the same sort of gravitas within SEO as they used to be. It's evolved slightly, and where it's evolved to now is all about relevance, and you hear this thing about authority, all right, or being an expert. And one of the ways in which the search engines feel more comfortable recommending you as an expert is if you have multiple sources of content around specific subjects. So there's a term called clustering, where you pick a particular subject. Let's just use marketing, right? So you pick a subject like marketing, and then you start to create clustered content around marketing. So all of the things that are associated to marketing, all right, within your website content and within your blog creation. It's also, I mean, we hear about sort of the importance of having links on other people's websites. It's just as important to have internal links on your own website. So if you're creating this clustered content and you have, like, say, one subject matter, and you have 10 different sort of subsections of that subject matter, make sure that each of those articles are referring to the other articles. Because what's happening in basic terms, I suppose, is that when the search engines are crawling your website for a particular subject that somebody's searching for, they're just they're checking the number of sort of reference points regarding that. And in essence, what a search engine wants to do is it wants to provide the most up-to-date and the most relevant and the most authoritative answers to your questions when you're searching. So does that make sense? So what I'm going to say to you here is think about creating that content yourself. It's free, right? You can create it yourself. Maybe you need to pay a website developer to upload it. Maybe you can do it yourself. But ultimately, you can think about creating content there for your website, which will help you with your SEO. Networking. Right. So when people hear about networking or think about networking, they think about going along to a regular meeting every week or every month, having some drinks with people, chewing the fat, getting to know people. Yeah, of course, that's it. But the vast majority of those organizations you need to pay for. And this webinar is all about what marketing can I do that's free. So the free networking, there are free networking events out there, but they're few and far between. And I would say that possibly the quality of them isn't that great. So I'm going to say to you, think about your current social circles and think about them as a way in which you can do some networking. So I'm going to say you might belong to a football club, either yourself or through your kids, or a rugby club. I don't know. You might have a plot on an allotment. You might go to a gym. You may be part of the church, belong to a golf club, WI. I mean, the things, it just goes on and on and on. You are actually part of these social groups unless you're a complete hermit. So think about being a little bit more vocal when you're out and about. Think about building up better, deeper relationships. Let's sort of, I know you have to pay to be at a golf club. All right. When I say this is free, I'm not saying that you become a member of a golf club, but maybe you are already a member of a golf club, right? Make sure you're utilizing that sort of socialness. Make sure that you're taking part in the club days, going to the bar, and just being a little bit more open. Approach people, talk about yourself, ask them what they do. They will be replying and asking what you do, and you can tell them. All right. So think about utilizing the networks that you've still got out there. They are free. Right. The other thing about networking is think about collaborations. So you've seen on my channel here that once a month I get a guest speaker on. That's a collaboration, right? So think about people within your sphere and approach them and say to them, hey, well, look, take this as an example. If you're watching this now and you think, well, actually, I need to be marketing my business, maybe I can come on and talk about it on Miles's webinar once a month, right? Approach me, ask me if it's a good fit. And if we both want to go ahead, then absolutely, and it's free. Don't cost you anything more than your time. Other things you can look at are things like newsletters. I'm not talking about printed newsletters. I'm talking about digital newsletters. And I can hear people say, oh yeah, but Miles, I need to have a newsletter designed. Well, there are loads of online templates that are free. Within your business, I don't know, you may even use Canva already. You may even subscribe to that. Well, you utilize that to create yourself something. But things like LinkedIn, the platform that we're on at the moment, or the main platform we're on at the moment, they do have a newsletter facility. I think by memory, actually, it's only for... It may be creator mode and business pages. It's definitely for business pages. But look, there are facilities there for you able to do things that are free within a newsletter content. Don't forget, you can always repurpose that as well for your email marketing campaigns. That could be one of the things that you send out each month. Other things that are free, think about phone calls. Now, I know that it's a little bit old-fashioned, and I know a lot of people will be shuddering at the prospect of making a cold call and speaking to someone on the phone, right? But if you've identified your target market and if you know whom you want to speak to, then why not give them a call? Yeah, maybe you've sent them an email. Well, maybe follow it up with, hello, my name's Miles, and, I offer bite-sized marketing services, and I was wondering if I could come and have a chat to you about how I could save you time and money. What's the worst that could happen? No, and they put the phone down. Well, fine, but, got to kiss a lot of frogs. Keep making those phone calls, and you never know when someone will say, well, actually, yes, I'm in the market for it because I've just got rid of my current supplier. They were no good. Let's have a chat. All right. So it's important to remember that not everybody is at the right buying stage when you may call, but planting that seed, and maybe that seed's a seed that you plant to say, okay, well, that's fine. Would you mind if I send you one of my brochures in the post to explain what it is that we do? Or could I add you to my email list? All right, take these opportunities. Now, we spoke about this a few weeks ago with Justin. We spoke about local radio, stroke local TV, and how being an expert, you can get onto these platforms. So, I spoke about being an authority, and I would suggest to anyone, especially offering personal services, they start to sort of build that kudos and the experience around what it is that you do. And one of the ways that you can do this is reaching out to the producers of local radio. And I say local radio because it's a little bit easier than national radio, but it's still the same sort of process. And again, introduce yourself to them either via email or by the phone. They're hungry, right, for content and for people to come on and share their expert views. It's relentless for them. They need these people to come on. So we spoke about Justin and mortgages and stuff. I know that now the radio stations are ringing Justin every time that the mortgage rates go up. They want their sound bites off an expert. So if you're an expert in your field, reach out to the local radio station or the local TV station, speak to the producers, let them know that you exist, and you never know, you might go on into their little black book and you might get a phone call when there's some related news around what it is that you're an expert in. And this is the last thing I'm going to say today. You need to remember that you need to ask for the social proof, for the testimonials, the reviews, the recommendations. So with your customers, make sure that you're following things up and that you're asking for a reference, if you like, a testimonial, a Google review, a LinkedIn review, or all of those reviews together. Or even if it's just a quote to put on your website, make sure that you're asking for these, because these are bits of marketing, right? When you look to engage with someone, you're going to go onto their website and their socials, and you're going to look for that proof that they can deliver what you want in terms of services. So don't forget to ask for those things. And that includes case studies as well. All right. Maybe you need to sort of change the names to protect the innocent, but make sure that you utilize the facility to be able to grab what you've been doing with your work and to display it to the world. It's free. So here's your recap for you in terms of what marketing can you do that's free. So I was going to say in at number 9, you've got emails, you've got web content around SEO and clustering, you've got the networking, not necessarily the structured stuff, but the stuff that is all around you, being part of the Parents Teachers Association or the local football team or golf club. Raise your profile, tell everyone what it is that you do, not in a knobbish kind of way, but in a way of perhaps asking them first what it is they do, and maybe if they ask what you do, that's your opportunity. Think about recommendations, testimonials, the social proof. Look at the social media platforms, be social on them, start to build up a nice little network there. Think about doing something old-fashioned and maybe making a phone call. Again, I realize that's not entirely free, but it is in some instances where you've got contracts already in place. And be the expert. So think about approaching your local radio station, the local news channels. Yeah, that's it. That's all I've got to say today in terms of what marketing you can do that's free. I don't think we've had any questions live on air, but as usual, you can always contact me with WhatsApp, send me an inappropriate GIF, and I will do my very best to answer you the very best I can. So until next week, I think we're talking about LinkedIn actually next week, so that should be interesting. Until then, ta-ta for now.